What's up, 7th grade? Mr. Agnos here, and this video is for homework assignment 4-2K. We're going to start off the year learning how to add and subtract positive and negative numbers. Okay. So on this screen here, if we look in the upper left-hand corner, it says they want us to do 3 plus n when n is equal to 5 or negative 5. And we're going to use a number line to do that. So essentially what they're asking us to do is we're going to solve two different equations here. We're going to do, that is not the right one. We're going to do, I'll get better. We're going to do 3 plus 5, and that's first grade math. You guys should be able to do that one, no problem. But we're also going to do 3 plus negative 5. Okay, and that's where it gets a little bit trickier. So we're looking at both of these two problems here, and we're going to use a number line to solve them. All right, so the first one we're going to look at is 3 plus 5. And really, we all know it's 8, but the purpose of this is to see how we're going to use the number line. All right, so when you're using a number line to solve a problem like this, the first number is your starting point, right? So notice if I go down here, they've started at 0 and they have this blue arrow going all the way out to 3. So this is our starting point right here. This is where we're going to start counting from. And then if we're adding a positive number, we're going to continue in this direction. And if we're adding a negative number, we're going to go back in this direction. So that's the big difference here, right? And again, this is sort of the starting point. If we're adding a positive, we keep going. And again, think of it as, hey, I have $3 and now I have $5 more, so I'm going to go this direction. But if I'm adding a negative number, well, then I have $3 and maybe I spent $5, and so I'm going to go back to the left. Okay, so we have 3 plus 5. So what this says is we're going to start at 3, and we're going to go 5 units in the positive direction. So here is my starting at 3. I get to here, and now we're going to go 5 more units in the positive direction. I'll use green for positive. We're going to go 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I went past it. That was sloppy. I will get better. Actually, watch this. Start here, and that's even better. And we went 5 units in the positive direction, and we ended up at positive 8. All right, for the second problem, we have to add negative 5. So now we're working on the problem 3 plus negative 5. So in this situation, our starting point is still the same. We have to start counting at 3. So we always go to 0, and then, hey, all right, I'm going to start counting at 3. There I am. Except now, we need to move 5 units in the negative direction. And I'm going to use red for negative, right? So we're moving in the negative direction, which is to the left. So we're going to start here, and we're going to go 5 units in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we end up at negative 2. So 3 plus negative 5 is equal to negative 2. Okay, so you can see how we got very different answers. So at 3 plus negative 5 and 3 plus 5 are not at all the same thing. So this is one type of question you're going to see on your homework assignment. Just remember that whatever your starting point is, if you're adding a positive number, then you're going to keep going what's called in the positive direction to the right. And if you're adding a negative number, you're going to move in the negative direction, which is to the left. All right, let's take a look at the second type of question that you're going to see on your homework. All right, I'm going to get this error message quite a bit. It's annoying. I've sent emails about it. But in general, when I refresh multiple times, I eventually get to where I want to go. So I appreciate your patience. There we are. Okay, this slide has to do with what is called additive inverses. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. Additive inverses right there. And the idea behind an additive inverse is two numbers that when you add them together, they equal 0. So I'm going to give you a bunch of examples over here on the left-hand side. So 3 plus negative 3. Those are additive inverses. If I give you $3, but then I take $3 away, you have $0. Negative 7 plus 7. Right? If I take away $7 from you, but then I give 7 back, I have no dollars. Right? So I think you can see what's happening here. We're just talking about the positive and negative version of a number. So you might see it like this. You might say, hey, 12 and negative 12 are additive inverses. Because when I add these two numbers together, whether I write it like this, I could write it as 12 plus negative 12. That equals 0. I could also write it as negative 12 plus 12. That also is equal to 0. When you add two things together, the order doesn't matter, right? 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. Some of you might be wondering, hey, why am I using the parentheses here? Well, in general, we're using the parentheses because you don't want to have a plus sign right next to a minus sign. That gets really confusing. Those are called operators, right? And we don't want two of those next to each other. So in that situation, we put the parentheses in between. Over here, I don't need it because the negative 12 is first. Okay, so let's take a look at our choices here. It says drag each expression that shows a sum, that means addition, of two additive inverses into the additive inverse area. So I'm looking for numbers that when I add them together, they sum up to 0. And my first choice that I'm going to look at is this one right here, negative 5 plus negative 5. Well, let's think about that. If I take $5 from you, and then I take 5 more, that doesn't add up to 0. That is, I've now taken $10 from you. I took 5 here, I took 5 more, that equals negative 10. So this is not a sum of additive inverses. So when you have both of the numbers are negative, there's no way they can add up to 0. Look how that is different from this one right here, negative 8 plus 8. This is the type of, this is the pair of numbers that we're looking for. If I take $8, but then I give you 8 back, this is going to add to 0. If I go down 8 feet underwater, but then I come back up 8 feet, I'm now back at sea level, right? I'm back at 0 feet underwater. So this is definitely an additive inverse. Five plus negative 5, right? I have the positive version, I have the negative version. If I add those two numbers together, I'm going to get 0. That is an additive inverse. 12 plus negative 12, right? Those are opposites. If I add those two together, I'm going to get 0. So that is definitely an additive inverse. Look how this one right here. Oh boy, I'll get better with the tool, guys. I promise. This one right here. Look how it's different from this one right here. The one on the right, I have a positive 12 plus a negative 12, so that's going to equal 0. Over here, I take $12 from you, and then I take 12 more. That's going to be negative 24. So this is definitely not additive inverses. Negative 5 plus 5, right? Those are the negative and the positive version. Those are going to add to 0. 8 plus 8, well, that's 16. They're both positive. I give you $8. I give you 8 more bucks. You have 16 bucks. So definitely not additive inverses. And then the last one, 8 plus negative 8. Again, see how it's different from the one on the left, how we have a positive and a negative? These are going to add to 0. So that should be an additive inverse. All right, if we have done this correctly, we should get some kind of dance here. Let's see. Oh, all right, not a very good dance, but we did it. All right, so that is the second type of question you're going to see on additive inverses. Two numbers that add up to 0. And again, you're always going to have like the positive version of a number and the negative version of a number. All right, on the last slide that we're going to look at today, we're going to use what the book calls chips. I'm going to call them just positive and negative symbols to add two positive and negative numbers together. All right. So these are what I'm talking about here, little positive symbols and little negative symbols, and we can use these to add a positive and a negative together. So before I get to them, I'm gonna write up a little problem here. We'll do a real simple one. I'll do 5 plus negative 8. All right, and we want to know what this is equal to. Well, I have 5 positives and 8 negatives, so I can actually go ahead and draw that. Since they're using gray for positive, I'll use gray for positive. So I have 5 positives, so I'm actually going to draw those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 5 positives. And then I also have 8 negatives right here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I'm using this method, I always just do rows of 5. Right? So I go 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. All right. A positive and a negative cancel each other out, right? This is what the whole additive inverse thing was getting towards. If I have 5 and I have negative 5, well, they cancel each other out, and I have nothing. I have 0. So we can cancel a positive and a negative out. I cancel one positive. That means I cancel one negative. Another positive, another negative. And we just keep doing this until we run out of one side here. So I cross off another positive, cross off another negative, and finally I cross off one more and one more. All right, I have no positives left, nothing else to cross off, so I'm going to stop. And I see what is remaining. Well, in this case, I have 3 negatives left. That is equal to the number negative 3. I have 3 negatives left, so 5 plus negative 8 is equal to negative 3. All right, this method works really well when you have smaller numbers. If I was doing negative 572 plus 286, obviously I wouldn't want to use this method. Again, a lot of these strategies are also just for teaching purposes, so we can just kind of get the idea for how adding positive and negatives work. All right, I only got about a minute and a half left in this video, so let's take a look at this problem right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So we have 12 positives. And then we're going to add to it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 4 is 20 negatives. So really what this screen right here is showing us is the problem 5 plus negative 20. And so we want to figure out what this is. Well, we can do the same thing. Let's start crossing some stuff off. I cross off 4, well, that looks good. I cross off 4 positives, so I cross off 4 negatives. I cross off 4 more positives, so I cross off 4 more negatives. I cross off the last 4 positives, so I cross off 4 more negatives, and then I just look and see what do I have left. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negatives. I have 8 negatives, so that is equal to, boy, I gotta fix that. So that is equal to negative 8. So 12 plus negative 20 equals negative 8. Okay, guys, hopefully this video was helpful for homework assignment 4-2K. Shoot me an email or ask me in class if you have questions. I don't want to end the video like this. I want to end the video like this. It's unfocused. I'm sorry. Shoot me an email if you have questions or ask me in class. Thanks, guys.